Hello then, welcome to the Political Spotlight on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku. On the Political Spotlight, we get to talk about issues that transpired in the course of the week, trending issues that transpired across every sector of the Nigerian economy as it affects our daily existence as well as it generates the reaction such conversations actually generated across several quarters. And of course, on a Political Spotlight, we don't do it alone. We actually have analysts with us in the studio. Sometimes they join us virtually where we got to discuss these issues in-depthly, and they help to give us a proper comprehension from their own professional perspective, or rather in-depth knowledge of these issues as when discussed. We're currently streaming live on YouTube at Voice of the People 90.3 FM. That of course is a YouTube channel for you to be part of. 90.3 FM on YouTube. Subscribe. All right, we're streaming live and you can begin to put in your comments right in there. And of course you can follow me on across social media handles at Estanwaz on Instagram, Estanwachiko on Facebook, and Estic Media on YouTube. That's ESTIQMEDIA. Now let's start off with this. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and who is also participating in the climate change conference COP28, arrived in Dubai with 1,411 delegates. All right. Now, according to a list by the UN Climate Change, making him the leader in Africa with the highest entourage and the third largest representation among global countries attending the conference. Nigeria indeed went there to represent how populated they are. So it's not surprising to see the president with his entourage, right? Okay, let's continue. Now, COP28, which started on Thursday, the 30th of November, and is to end on Tuesday, 12th December, in a 13-day event that is used by governments to agree on policies to limit global temperature rises and adapt to impacts associated with climate change. I know the question you're going to ask is, exactly what's Nigeria's business with it? Well, it's important for Nigeria to be there. As you can see, the inconsistent weather conditions that we experience, we're supposed to know how to possibly adapt to this or see how we can help reverse so that we can go to normal seasonal weather temperatures as we know. Okay, so on Saturday, right, the Nigerian president, that is our honorable, prestigious President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, shared the platform with Sultan Ahmed Al-Jabbar, the president of Sultan Ahmed Al-Jabbar in Dubai, president of the COP28, also John Kerry and the Chinese envoy on climate change. They were all there and the president had a handshake with them. Now, the president also spoke on the need for participants to make commitments to the goal of limiting the Earth temperature increase to 1.5 centigrade by the end of the century. And also, President Tinubu disclosed that Nigeria is already committed. That is, we have begun to implement all that is needed to be part of this entire green climate healthy energy. Now, we have been doing this, so it's been long before today. That's what the president said. It's been way long before now, and it's not the first time we've attended COP27, COP26. So we have begun to implement all the agreements that were made whenever we attend the summits and conferences. And the president, was able to reiterate the commitment of and the following the critical steps involved in being part of eliminating and reducing methane emissions, gas flaring, and anyone who is involved in that really gets the penalty. Meanwhile, back home, his visit to Dubai and the 1,411 delegates that accompanied him is generating quite the buzz. And of course, it also proves that the aspect of curbing wasteful spending doesn't seem to be curbing at all. It's not curbing. It's not reducing, all right? Of the 1,411 delegates, 590 were sponsored to attend the conference. And by the Nigerian government, which is currently battling with record inflation and an out-of-control exchange rate, a ballooning debt profile, and millions of its citizens sliding into poverty. The total to and from flight tickets for the 590 delegates is estimated at 885 million naira. So any individual going to Dubai with the president, that is each of them, the 590 official delegates are signed to be part of the president's entourage. If you calculate the flight tickets between Nigeria and Dubai to and from, Altogether, for all of those individuals that accompany the president, the official 560 is 885 million. All right. Now, the cost was arrived based on the flight rates with international airline operators. And of course, the aviation sector, who would not want to be mentioned, the federal government rarely charters local carriers when attending such events. They don't charter local carriers at all. Rather, the government prefers to contract international flight operators and pay them in foreign currency for charter services. And this is despite having local operators with approvals to fly directly to some of these countries. The president is known to use one of the 10 presidential fleets, while the rest of the entourage charter an international flight. Now, the cost of maintaining each of the presidential aircraft rose by 99.6% to 7.29 billion naira as of 2019. All right. Now, a check on the average international flight operator showed that a two-way flight ticket from Nigeria to Dubai will cost 1.5 million. So for one individual, two-way, to and from, for one person will cost 1.5 million. Now, on the list of the Nigerian delegation includes the president, 25 ministers, the chief of staff, about 5 director generals, several directors, deputy directors, assistant directors, and several officials with different titles. You also have Gilbert Ramex Chaguri, who is listed among the ministers as confidant of the president. This number of aides and officials, a lot of people, especially Nigerians, are actually shouting it's too much. There are too many for just a meeting. And they're saying the president keeps wasting resources on frivolities. They ask again, how many people will speak on behalf of Nigeria if you're attending officially 590. This is beyond the others that will make it complete 1,411. So how many persons are to speak on behalf of the president? All right. Now, apparently only 7 ministers embarked on the Dubai trip. In this whole 1,411, only 7 ministers embarked on a Dubai trip. Now, in a video which was trending, the president's son was seen entering the venue of the COP28 ahead of the president and his very large entourage. Apart from the cost of flight, it is also normal practice by the Nigerian government to give per diem, also called Esther codes, to those going with the president on any trip. That is maybe some money, something that would help them while they're on the trip. You give them some shares, financial stuff, just to keep them afloat. Meanwhile, it's quite a lengthy one if we look at it, but an entrance befitting a country that delivers 400,000 megawatts to its people daily and will utilize approximately 100 BCF of gas daily with $4 trillion economy, and arriving in Dubai meetings with 1,411 strong delegation, of which 851 are delegates of various federal and state government entities, the third largest behind China and Brazil. We will surely be strong and persuasive for the climate action at COP28 because of the entourage of persons that we have. Definitely that is what it is. But it is unfortunate, according to experts, that the government does not recognize the importance of cutting down the high cost of governance, even when it has to borrow almost 100% to fund its budget. Nigeria is planning to spend 27.5 trillion naira in 2024, out of which the non-debt recurrent expenditure is 9.92 trillion naira, while debt service is projected to be 8.25 trillion naira and capital expenditure is 8.7 trillion naira. This is a bit, let's just say, a surface breakdown of what exactly is going on. And when you have the president attend COP28 with 1,411 delegates, some official and some unofficial, you're wondering exactly what are the roles or the responsibilities of these individuals and why precisely are they that many? That's the question a lot of Nigerians are asking. So it's time for me to introduce my guests on the program, because it's quite pertinent that we continue to have these conversations as best as we can and discuss these issues in the best form through which they'll give us their perspective on these issues. First off, I'll introduce Barrister Evans Ufeli. Barrister Evans Ufeli, good evening and welcome to Political Spotlight.
Good evening.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
It is quite the Sunday.
Yeah, good evening, listeners.
Interesting. I also have right here in the studio I don't want to call him a latecomer, but he tried, because I know how I took my time to convince Barrister Fred Nzako to be here. I knew I really needed him to help give us a perspective on this issue, specifically the one I just talked about. And Barrister Fred Nzako, good evening and welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Thank you, Esther. Good evening.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening to our listeners. Thank you.
It is quite the Sunday. Barrister Fred Nzako, what's your take on the president being accompanied for the COP28 summit with 1,411 delegates? We have 590 of them supposedly officially assigned, and the rest are not official. They are those who accompanied this 590. And what took the attention of a lot of Nigerians was a former OAP with one of the radio stations. Her name is Toke Makinwa. I think that's what made a lot of Nigerians were asking questions. What is a Toke Makinwa doing with the president's entourage, regardless of her relationship with any of the politicians that accompanied the president? And isn't that a waste of money with what Nigeria is complaining in terms of their lean budget? I'm asking you first. What's your take on this?
Well, if you ask what Toke Makinwa is doing on that entourage, you should as well ask what others are doing.
Okay.
Those who have no business with environment and with climate change. A whopping 1,411. But this segregation of some being an official delegation and others, did they sponsor themselves? Yet they
did sponsor themselves.
No. I mean, the report is varied. Some are saying about 850 or thereabout were official government delegation. And then some are saying 560. And you seem to want to go with the lower figure.
Okay.
Maybe because the higher figure is giving you goose pimples. But 850, that means the balance of 555 or thereabout are not official delegation. But if they are not, how come their names are on the list? And how come they joined the presidential team? Did they just want to fix in because Dubai no longer gives Nigerians visa, and then I now see that as an opportunity to just hop on at the back of Mr. President and visit United Arab Emirates?
Put in mind that this 1,411 are enough to fill 3 jumbo jets. So,
for those who are saying official and unofficial, I find it difficult to understand what they mean. If you are a government delegate, you are a government delegate, because you can't be a government delegate or be on the delegation of federal government or state government and you sponsor yourself. So except if they mean that some are on federal government list sponsored by federal government and some are on state list sponsored by their various state government, all together making a 1,411 delegates to the conference. Even when we go to World Cup or Olympic Games, I don't think Nigeria has ever gone on a foreign mission with that large number of people. I do not think so. But sometimes I am at a loss the way and manner people in government think. And sometimes I try to rationalize or justify their actions just for the sake of keeping my heart at rest. And in trying to justify it, I was thinking, does it mean that they want to make a bold statement that we have arrived? Make a statement that we are really very serious about tackling climate change, when up to today we are still flaring gas in the Niger Delta area with all the environmental hazards and the rest, when even here and there, even on the roads, we have smoky, rickety vehicles, pumping carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. And we do not even have enough trees in the desert, even as desert is fast encroaching on us. And we have a lot of challenges that we have not even as a people tackled to help our environment. And we want to now make a very bold statement that we are very serious about climate change. Maybe, or just maybe, the government wants to give impression that we are a big nation, the biggest country in Africa, and then we need to show that we are really big. I don't know. Anybody who can help me with justification for that large number, I really would be glad to learn from such a person. But I can tell you that Nigeria and Nigerians are very, very uncomfortable
with that,
with such profligate expenditure, with such wastefulness, and with such wanton waste of national resources, whether state or federal. Yes, it's good to go to Dubai, but when it is on a government delegation, don't forget that not only their flight, their hotel bills are there, their extra coat, they have to eat, they have to drink, and find time to even do some shopping. So such monies will be provided. And if you say we don't have money, maybe the government wants to give impression that for those countries that have refused to give us money, maybe we'll do shakara for them, that after all we are rich nation.
Yes.
So you can as well keep your money. We don't need it. I really don't know. I'm waiting for anybody to let me know why government had to go with such large delegation. Maybe Evans knows. I'm waiting for Evans to let me know.
All right, Barrister Evans, the presidency has eventually reacted to the public outrage over the list of 1,411 delegates to the COP28 summit in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. You do know the outrage that has emitted from that particular number of persons that accompanied the president. Well, reacting to the outrage in a post via X today, the presidential aide Dada Olusegun said the summit is not specific to government officials or civil servants. Olusegun said the United Nations requested several of these bodies and private sector members to send a list of their delegates, with most of them to be sponsored by the World Bank, European Union, and others. So it means that the unofficial delegates that are accompanied are being sponsored by the World Bank, European Union, and others. Now, the presidential aide said the federal government is only responsible for catering for its immediate staff, which is a very tiny portion of the total delegates. He noted that while there may be reservations about those on the delegates list, President Tinubu is not insensitive to allow such wastage at this point when he is leading the charge to cut wasteful spending. What's your take?
This sounds to me like a damage control. From the get-go, when we were told that this number of persons are the people required, first of all, the United Nations couldn't have asked for that number. If the United Nations asked for that number from every country coming, there will be no hall to contain whatever it is they are going to discuss there. So I think that damage control is not sinking down where the premise is bad, the conclusion is also bad. It is just, the federal government should just say that this is a prodigal journey. When you are going for a prodigal journey, you take everything and everything, anything and everything to that place. And I hope we are not the only one doing this, because there's a sense in which it shows desperation. Yes, desperation to get into Dubai. More so that it's a time when we are not allowed to go in, giving our antecedents over there. But by and large, we are waiting to see the reports and the contribution of this huge number, whether it justifies whatever it is they went there to do, whether if they return, we will now change the atmosphere completely, or maybe take out the sky and lay another one. Because, I mean, come to think of it, he said the World Bank demanded that he needs to present that letter to the public, where the World Bank specifically, because you can't just come and talk empty like that without evidence. We need to see the document where the United Nations made a specific demand to the effect that the number of persons are required. By the Freedom of Information Act, every Nigerian or any Nigerian can apply for that document where the United Nations made that demand specifically. And he said the government will only be responsible for
a tiny fraction.
That's not good enough when you're talking to the public. That's indefinite. That's directionless. That's a very wrong way of communicating to the public. The meeting they went for is a sovereign assignment. Okay? And a sovereign assignment requires every body. So if you have any cause to communicate to the citizens on any issues that borders in the line under reference, you must come with details, specifications, and particulars. Okay? By my training, anybody can make utterances. The only way claims and utterances can sink is when there are averments, and such averments are backed up with evidence to pleadings. So it will be given and clear that whatever it is they are saying, they have documents to back it up.
Okay.
But there's no such a thing like that. So they just want us to believe them, whatever it is they have said. They want us to believe them and then carry on that way. And I wonder how we'll be looked at by the international community for this kind of brazen disgrace. Because at the end of the day, 90% of these persons who went there will not be able to tell you one or two things that happened in that place. So I think we should. I don't know what to say about this issue, but it's a bad taste. It leaves a bitter taste in the mouth of the public. Interesting.
Like you said, they need to do more in explaining to us. Okay, possibly the COP28 summit is not something that they get to know three months prior. They may have been informed early in the year.
Yes.
So if at all, according to them, they said the World Bank, the European Union, and all of that, the list and names of persons would have been submitted to them and they would have approved. Now, normally when events like this are taking place of such a national or international caliber, you have the list of those persons put out in the public space by the spokesperson to the president, isn't it?
Yes.
Why are we not saying that in the public domain? It's just like how they officially told us the president is attending, and this is when the president will speak. This is the day the president will speak. So why don't we have that in the public space?
That's the questions we're raising. We're saying that this government have consistently misinformed the public. Is this same Dubai that they went to last time when they came back and the spokesman to the president told the country that the visa ban has been lifted? And this same Dubai, it turned out that the country issued a statement and said there's nothing like that was discussed in the first place. Now
they debunked it.
Yes, this same Arab, the president was in Saudi Arabia not too long ago. And something happened there. Some of our Nigerians who traveled were all brought back. A huge number of them were brought back on visa issues and documentation issues and so many issues. And this same route.
Dubai.
No, not Dubai now, Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So now this is another one. Okay, I hope the authorities will not say the people who you brought are too much. Some of them should come and start going back and all that, because this public disgrace we are creating all over the place. We need to curtail our SSCs. We are not just showing the world that we are profligate. We are also letting them know that we can as well take half of the population on a prodigal assignment of this nature, and they just go waste resources and come back.
All right, let's move on to federal lawmakers raising alarm that President Bola Tinubu did not submit any documents backing the 2024 appropriation bill he proposed before he joined parliamentary session on Wednesday. Now, two different lawmakers actually stated that the president's action was detrimental to the social contract between the parliament and the presidency, including the people of Nigeria. And they say no lawmaker can say they have seen what the president presented to the National Assembly on Wednesday. Now, they made a debate on the matter yesterday, which is Thursday, and as well as on Friday, that's 2 days ago, without showing the facts and figures of the president proposals. That is, the president came on Wednesday to present the 2024 budget, but when they checked the box for the budget proposal, they couldn't see any physical paper. So the president just read and left, and the paper wasn't available, or was it hurriedly put together that made them not to have copies of the budget in order for the National Assembly members to have access to it? Well, the lawmaker says it's actually quite unfortunate for the Federal Republic. Another lawmaker said Nigerians should cry out and ask the president. I think this one is from the New Nigeria People's Party. And he said Nigerians should cry and ask the president and his people when they would tell us what happened to his 2024 budget. He needs to present everything before us because we have the power of appropriation as members of the National Assembly. Both lawmakers, they spoke under anonymity to avoid being victimized by the Ethics Committee of the Assembly. Now, one of the lawmakers cited his ties to the president as unfavorable to his open commentary on the matter, saying it would engender a fraught relationship between him and the presidency. He also slammed Senate President Godswill Akpabio and other principal officers for allowing the president to get away with the deceit, insisting that the president gave us the overhead summary but not the details, which usually comes in a bulky paperwork. The spokesperson for the Senate, House and State House did not take questions rather on this particular matter when it was spoken about by these lawmakers. And you do know that the president had on September 29 presented a proposed appropriation of 27.6 trillion naira to lawmakers, leaving out the breakdown of the legislation to sidestep scrutiny of lawmakers ahead of crucial votes on it. They held debates on Thursday and Friday on the budget, and even though they said they were still being kept in the dark. Now, apparently, Yusuf Galambi, another federal lawmaker, also accused President Bola Tinubu of sending empty boxes without the 2024 budget to the National Assembly. Now, in his case, he wasn't afraid to disclose his identity, and it was via an interview with the BBC Hausa service. Mr. Galambi, who is a member of the New Niger People's Party who represents Jigawa State's Gwaram Federal Constituency, said Mr. Tinubu read out his budget speech, including proposals for sectors, but did not give the lawmakers the documents as was the tradition by previous presidents. So, Barrister Fred Nzako, is it normal for this kind of thing? You present the budget, no paper, you just read out the surface, the overhead, but the details, or could it be now we are going like possibly e-transmission? Maybe the bulk of the budget will be sent to the National Assembly members to their email so they can properly look into it. Could that be an assumption?
That's exactly where my mind was going.
Okay.
Times have changed. This is no longer the age and the era of a bulky paper carrying.
Okay.
This is not the age and the time when you begin to carry loads and loads of papers. So this is internet age. This is electronic age. I want to believe very strongly that the soft copy of the details of the budget would be sent to members of parliament. And but if by today it has not been sent, that is where one begins to have some measure of apprehension.
Okay.
I expected that the same day of the presentation, symbolic presentation of the budget, in which case those green, white, green colored boxes that Mr. President laid before the chambers, before both chambers of National Assembly, would just be merely symbolic. And possibly inside that there will be a flash drive or any storage device that will be placed in there, and not the bulky papers that they used to be. That is exactly where my mind was going. But up till now, nobody has accepted the fact or alluded to the fact that soft copy had been given to them or to the leadership of the National Assembly, because if the soft copy has been given to the leadership of the National Assembly and they are possibly looking at how to distribute it, whether to distribute via email, via any other medium, or to reproduce them in hard copies for members to have a look at it. One expected that should precede any discussion. But for them to start discussion and moving fast, first reading, second reading, and then they are moving in that fast
direction.
Approach in that direction, then it raises a lot of worry and concern. And it also shows how intimidated the members of the National Assembly, current National Assembly, are. It shows how intimidated that they cannot even muster the courage to speak to the press and be named. All of them want to talk on condition of anonymity. For goodness sake, this is a third arm of government. the trinity of governance in democracy, executive, judiciary, and legislature, they are equal but one. That is the trinity, equal but one. 3 in 1. Each looking over the other's back and working in synergy to ensure that there's good governance. Then for the legislature to be described no longer as a rubber stamp now, but a copy and paste legislature, it really worries any body who is interested in Nigerian policy and the politics. And for them not to be bold enough to speak up shows how terrible things are. I do not know why they have been so cowed. Is there any threat of they are not getting their allowances? Is there any threat of their not or losing their offices? At least now, most of the courts have, the appellate court, the Court of Appeal is the last court on issues concerning National Assembly petition. So, and a lot of them have delivered their judgment. So, even if anybody is under the illusion or a shadowy illusion that he or she could lose his or her seat on account of the hand of Esau behind the voice of Jacob, but that shouldn't be at this point when the judiciary has delivered the final verdict on almost all of them. So one expected that they should have the strength and the courage, buoyed and strengthened by the mandate of the people, and be able to be firm to defend our democracy. But unfortunately, what we are seeing with the current legislature, it gives one a lot of cause to worry.
Barrister Evans Ifeli, earlier on in 2016, during the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, apparently the budget, he presented a budget document at the time at the House in Parliament, and it was purportedly stolen. We heard that that budget had been stolen, and it caused a long-drawn recrimination between the Parliament and the Presidency. And later, after that whole debacle as to that particular budget being stolen, the next thing was that a flash drive was sent to the Parliament amid claims that it contained grossly edited items that were not in the proposal originally submitted in late 2015. So would we say that the president and the bulk of the budget not being available is deliberate? And is it possible that it happened so that there'll be no evidence to point out to the fact that anything changed, anything was edited, when eventually the hard copy of the budget is presented to the National Assembly members? Could this actually be what the strategy is all about? Because the normal thing to do is that there's a bulk of the budget, the National Assembly and the House of Representatives, they get to look through it. But what transpired in early 2016, where a budget document was stolen, no explanation given, and then later a flash drive was, circulated to the House of Assembly members, but then there were a lot of changes in it. So could this be a deliberate attempt to not have anything to question in the first place? So when the hard copy or whatever is in the flash drive is given, then nobody asks questions because there was no document presented initially.
Well, those are conjectures. If we have to speak facts to the issue under reference, Section 59 of the 1999 Constitution as amended have stated expressly how budgets should be presented. And that provision says that the president shall cause a budget to be presented before the National Assembly.
Okay.
Shall cause the budget to be presented. Now, the Constitution is silent as to whether it should be hard or soft copy. Okay. Because now we have to dig into the jurisprudential and probative effect of what has just happened. It didn't say that, but it shall cause to be presented. Now, if you go there with a box, the presumption is that, and if you have read part of the overview of the budget, the presumption is that the document should be in the box, okay? Because you are presenting it to an assembly that is empowered by law under Section 88, 89 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. you are presenting before, you are not presenting before school children. So it is expected that that document should be in that box. Now, where it turned out that there's nothing in it, because the same report is saying the budget have gone through second reading at the same time. I don't know which one is which now. There's a part of the story in the media is that the budget has gone to second reading. Part of the story is that the box was empty.
The box was empty.
And they have not, there was no flash drive, and they've not, the National Assembly until now have not gotten
the hard document,
the hard copy. So if you take, let's take the part that said that the box was empty and the National Assembly have not gotten anything up until now. That is gross misconduct. It is gross misconduct, because if the budget wasn't ready, the president need not rush to go and present it. Okay. Now, but making the National Assembly, the House, to feel that, okay, you giving a date and all that, having written them a letter to the Fed that it's going to present the budget on a particular day, and they have, by that same token, came up giving their concurrence to the effect that we need the budget because they have to oversight it. Now, if it turned out that there's nothing whatsoever to oversight, it means that that is gross misconduct. Gross misconduct by misleading the National Assembly into believing that they have a document, a working document, to deal with when there is none. So it is left for the National Assembly to do the needful. So the necessary sanction against the president. Because in Nigeria, when people say sanction against the president, it sounds like, it sounds strange, but the president can be sanctioned actually by the same National Assembly. But does this National Assembly, do they really know their functions? If they do they have the courage? Do they have the capacity? That power that the Constitution are giving to them, are they willing to exercise it at the expense of their political career? That's a very big question that this assembly cannot answer. As far as I'm concerned, I can see what they are doing over there. So the National Assembly must come up with the adequate, because gross misconduct will actually mean impeachment. That is actually what.
Do you think with the current National Assembly members that they will actually proceed to do anything?
They don't have that. They don't look like they have that capacity, or they don't look like they have a mind of their own. Okay, so that's the case for what I'm saying, because you cannot gather people, okay, at the expense of taxpayers' money. Made them to believe you came to present a budget, a national assignment, and it turns out that the exercise was nothing to hold on to, nothing to. It's not a good way to. This is the first time the president is presenting a budget, okay, apart from the supplementary
budget,
one.
Yeah.
This is the national budget.
Budget. You
understand? So now to get it mixed up this way, because this will give room for different versions to start to fly all over the internet by tomorrow or next. That this will give room for that. And at the end of the day, it will become difficult for the National Assembly to trap down the one that's emanating for the president and to work with it. So I think this is not neat at all. It shows unpreparedness. It shows that perhaps the president may not even know what is in that document, if any exists.
If you say unpreparedness, let me take you on that word unpreparedness. Do you believe that anything the president does or is part of, he hasn't thought about it? He's very deliberate when it comes to certain things, and there is always a plan ahead for any action he takes.
There's a presumption that he should know, but I mean, where is the document? That's a question. Where is the document? And why the rush? If the law allows you, okay, to, because the law allows us to present that budget between now and March of next year, you can, and you have the first quarter of the next year to put that together. So why rush this whole thing? Get to the assembly and not have it for them to oversight.
That's why I asked you a question when you said conjecture. That is it possible that the plan is to ensure that for the first instance, nobody traps them or traps the presidency with certain figures, because not just the National Assemblies, Nigerians will go through this budget. The press will go through this budget, see what has been allocated to make up for the 22.7 trillion naira. Right? So is it possible that they wanted to avoid that, whereby since the president has supposedly presented it officially, then whatever comes out, they just pass it on and nobody gets to criticize before it's being completely confirmed?
So we can't sit down and know what the plan is, especially when we're not in the pipeline with them. So that's why I said it's conjecture. Conjecture will mean that if we sit here to forecast what they possibly will be doing, and it turns out not to be what they did or what they are trying to do, what does that leave us with? So that's why I don't want to stay with that question. I would rather that I approach it this way, that they already have soiled the system. They made a very fundamental mistake. That omission is, I mean, the president have a team of economists, a lot of people around them, economists and all that, handlers. There's an office of the budget itself, which is chaired by someone with staff and strength and all that, with the kind of resources at their disposal, the manpower. Is a budget is a high classified document of government, and it determines the performance of a government, in annually. So that document must be guarded and must be taken very serious. But what I have seen so far, it appears to me that it looked like we are in a very long issue again. We just left one with the past president, and it appears we are getting into this issue of people not being aware of what they are doing.
All right, let's go to this particular interesting one, where based on what has transpired, 2 consecutive issues, right, that has left Nigerians befuddled. People believe that this is basically why Nigerians were asking questions on the clarification of the president's document that has put him in this position, which is the CSU certificate and all the allegations that went along with it. Now, Nigerians believe that from the word get-go, that the president embarked on this journey to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it's been all form of machinations which have been put in a gray area, unexplainable machinations, so that he's able to eventually take on the seat. Now, Nigerians are saying that those who supported the president shouldn't be surprised with what they're already seeing at the moment. The institution the president attended is being investigated by the FBI and the CIA, and the fact is that, according to the US, hiding identity records is a major red flag. So Nigerians are they're going back to the CSU debacle, the entire saga that transpired before the Supreme Court affirmed the president as a Federal Republic of Nigeria, and they're saying that they're not surprised to see all of these inconsistencies. One of the inconsistencies is the president coming up to say fuel subsidy is gone, and then you tell us there's no money in the treasury by your national security advisor, that's by Ribadu, and then you traveled initially when you traveled to this same Dubai, the first time he traveled, yes, the same Dubai, where he came and told us that the visa ban had been sorted out, all for us to hear from the Emirate themselves that no, that particular situation has not been resolved, they're still working on it. You had the president travel to Germany too, with an estimated amount of money, where Nigerians were asking, seriously, is this needed? Then you now have this COP28 summit with a number of delegates and the supposed amount of money that will be spent in taking care of these delegates. Then you have the supplementary budgets, the borrowings. Remember the 100 million euros the president is requesting for, about 7.1 trillion naira that the president is still requesting for. These are the inconsistent machinations that Nigerians have gone back to the entire CSU certificate that provoked the president's gray area. What's your take on it, Barrister Fred Nzako?
Well, there must be an end to speculation. The issues around Mr. President's certificate and the rest of them have been, in a manner of speaking, legally laid to rest in the minds of the courts, though not in the minds of many Nigerians. And that is why issues like that are still reverberating, especially when things like some of these unexplainable, obviously inexplicable things happen around our presidency. And but the persona of Mr. President can be in a way somehow detached from his office.
Okay.
If you're talking about the CSU, you're talking about president's personal life. Today we are talking about president's official life as the president and commander-in-chief, who has a retinue of assistants, ministers, directors general, all manner of aides, all manner of people, and both expatriates and Nigerian nationals. And of course, he still has the latitude to appoint anybody or approach anybody, any part of the world for expert advice, opinion, or assistance or assignment. If we have a Ministry of Budget and National Planning, we have headed by a minister and a Minister of State, and we have Budget Office with a Director General in charge of Budget Office, and we have Office of Budget Office in the Presidency that is working very closely with the president. And in the midst of all this, we still have ministry, departments, and agencies that individually collect and bring up their appropriations into the general budget before they are all looked into and sent to National Assembly before Mr. President's accent. If we have all this, and we are still talking about the budget not being ready, and we are now asking, if the budget was not ready, why go to National Assembly to present an empty box? Is it a local 419 or what? How do you describe it? I mean, because it beats anybody's imagination. Is it wash? Is it? No. How do you now look at it? Because, like Evan said, budget is a very serious business of government. It is. And that is why, once it is looked into very seriously, because not only the people in the parliament look into the budget, the very moment budget is released, it touches it points to the direction of fiscal policy of the government. It points to the direction of public policy and public finances of the government. It tells you the direction that the government is looking at in terms of infrastructure and even in terms of both capital and recurrent expenses and every other thing, even the foreign interest of Nigeria. All these things are captured in the budget. In one way or the other, budget affects every aspect of government life throughout that cycle of the budget year. Now, as serious as that is, and that is why when it is looked into by the National Assembly, it is accented to by the president, it becomes an act. It's not just a policy paper. It is a law itself. It's an act of parliament of which everybody must fall under the control and the dictates and stipulations of the budget. And for every intents and purposes, you don't go outside the budget in public expenditure. And that is why anything that is outside the budget, you now begin to look at it under the Supplementary Appropriation Act, Bill and then later Act. So that tells you that as a government official, you cannot touch 1 naira, a dime of government finances, except it is appropriated in the budget. So if that budget is that serious, you now begin to wonder, why is our government not giving it the seriousness that he deserves. If you look at the supplementary budget, in fact, the money shows the day. The supplementary budget that was presented will give you an idea of how unprepared the people in government are with respect to budget. All the subheads are in lump sums.
All right.
They will say 4 billion for renovation of Vice President's house.
No breakdown.
No breakdown.
No explanation.
3 billion renovation of Northern Barracks. 4 billion for 2.9 billion.
And
Or you see trillion.
And the National Assembly allow it to pass.
You understand what I'm saying? No naira, no kobo,
just billion.
no thousand, no million, no hundred, just billion. 2.9 billion, 6 billion for yacht, 7 billion, just like that.
Change pools.
And they just stipulate it like that, and National Assembly will just pass it. Honestly speaking, as an economist, I have never seen a budget in that manner. Lump sum budget, round figures. I have never seen it. Because budget is, you calculate it to the detail, minute details. So and so naira, so and so kobo. That is where it is done. That gives you an idea that there was an accounting input, that there was a calculation, arithmetic done. There was 1 + 1 giving you 2.
So how did you arrive at that sum?
You now get to how you go to the 10 billion, 7 billion, and
8 billion.
So when I saw that in the supplementary budget, I mean, I picked interest in looking at the subheads, and I didn't see any. None. Now, the main budget of 2024 has come, and it has followed
the same
trajectory, and is even worse. Now that the people who are supposed to look at the budgets are now crying that they have not seen anything to look at. Meanwhile, media say they have passed first reading.
Second reading.
So what are they passing? And then what are they reading? I think it is. I think one needs to really be worried about the way this government is running. As much as we want this government to succeed, but the government itself must help itself to succeed. So that, I mean, I believe that any government that came the way Tinubu government came should be wary of its steps, because the critics are more in number. The critics are more in number. And I want to believe that a serious-minded official of government must be conscious of that and begin to, through their actions, activities, policies and programs, and even utterances, begin to cut that support that they lacked from beginning. So that gradually Nigerians will begin to see something positive and something good in the government.
Let me take you back to your first statement where you said, when I talked about the fact that the CSU certificate saga, a lot of Nigerians are going back to the genesis of the gray area of the president and why they're not surprised of these inconsistencies. Somebody here is saying, his name is Evans on YouTube. He says, Barrister Fred, point of correction, Tinubu's certificate saga is yet to be decided by any court in Nigeria. The evidence from CSU came late before the election tribunal and it will be revisited in 2027. In other words, because the evidence wasn't displayed at the tribunal, during the tribunal, of course the Supreme Court could not admit it, and the Supreme Court even made a reprimand to Atiku Abubakar and his team that they should have worked to get it during the tribunal, whereby it would be tendered. So what they say now is that the president so far has not come out to explain exactly why that debacle was on, why he blocked the FBI and the CIA from having to disclose anything about his record and other activities he had in the outside the country before he became the president. Also, the fact that the institution he attended is being investigated by the FBI and the CIA, because apparently other testimonials came where students who had graduated from that school had access to false documents from the institution. So clarifications are being asked for, and the president has asked that his records be kept private. So, which brings me back to the question, Barrister Fred. This speculation, as you said, from Nigerians, would you say it's not coming from a right place when no explanation had been given?
You see, the level where we are presently, it is better for us as a country to keep the issue of the CSU in the cupboard.
Okay.
Not throw it away.
We should keep it in the cupboard.
Let's just keep it in the cupboard.
Okay.
It is a skeleton. Let it lie in the cupboard. When the time comes for the skeleton to come out, we'll go and bring it out. But for now, let us look at how we are going to run this economy. Because between now and 2027, the man is on the saddle. The man is on the saddle. Okay. So the only very best thing we can do for ourselves is, how do we make this country good for all? Yes. Bismarck Rewane said recently that the number of lunatics in Nigeria has increased tremendously. Number of mad people,
economically induced lunatics,
has increased. Why? Because people are going through terrible times. The number of people, a psychiatrist from Yaba, I listened to the chief psychiatrist of psychiatric hospital Yaba. He said that the number of people that are falling into depression in Nigeria has increased tremendously. These are informal indices, indicators that will tell you that all is not well with the Nigerian economy. Everybody is having the pinch, of course, except those who has jumped into the plane to Dubai, that are around Mr. President.
Yes.
Every other person in Nigeria is feeling the pinch of what is going on. My governor, Sisi Soludo, came out and said that Tinubu met a dead horse that was standing. That was how he described it. A dead horse
that was standing.
Still standing, but dead. That was how he described Nigerian economy. And where did he inherit it from? From the hands of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who himself was one of the economic advisors. And when we asked him what happened, Prof, he said the man never took any advice. Yes, I personally asked him, Prof, what happened? He said the man never took any advice from anybody. And of course, you know the way Nigeria's politics runs, you can't leave once you are roped in. Instead, you just keep quiet. Because if you leave, it will be seen as an aggression as a political aggression against the government in power. So they just kept quiet, and then they were just praying. They said the prayers that they said were more than those said by Nigerians, because they knew that their names were tied to it. So the man just kept running the economy from his back pocket, just anyhow. And now he had handed over a standing dead horse to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the optics from Tinubu too are not good.
It's not looking good.
He's not giving impression of a president who wants us to tighten our belt. We must say it. He's not giving impression of a president who has asked his people to sacrifice for today for a better tomorrow. We're not seeing such sacrifice from the leaders that were elected at all levels. So, is it now a case of monkey walking and baboon chopping? And that is what will make many Nigerians to go mental. That is what is making many people to go crazy. And that is what is increasing the level of suffering. A recent survey has shown that the level of enjoyment of life, which used to be about 8/10 in some survey that was conducted in 2013-2014, has dropped to about 3.5/10. The level of enjoyment. And when you talk about level of enjoyment, it is not that of the one that fella says suffering and smiling. How many people are really happy in an economy where the minimum wage cannot get you
at all?
Even if the family is feeding on just bread without any other expenses, it cannot give you bread for a month. So how do you begin to rationalize what government officials are doing? So these are the worries. And that is where the difference must be made. And that is where we expected that the difference should be made. When the government says we have no money, when the government says we should tighten our belt, when the government says we should understand,
endure.
When the government says we should endure, is the endurance meant only for the masses? Is it only meant for the poor? What of the leaders? What happens to leadership by example? Why would members of National Assembly not feel for the people? And the other day we were shouting about the large chunk of money they used to buy expensive foreign SUVs for themselves, not even patronizing those made in Nigeria to create jobs for us here in the country. Today, we are now talking about over 8,400 people flying to Dubai to go and discuss climate change. Oh goodness.
Barrister Evans,
something must
Barrister Evans, the projection for Nigeria's inflation rate has increased to 27.33%. This was in October, from 26.72% in September of 2023. And of course, apparently, they say that this is the most in 15 years. The most in 15 years. Now, guess what? Somebody on YouTube is saying something. The person said that the entire 27 countries of European Union, they sent 396 delegates, while Nigeria, according to what they wrote on YouTube, a beggy nation, sent 1,411. Now, the person is that, if you understand what the person is trying to say, you sent 1,411 and you are there to canvass for bilateral relations. You are there to say that your country is going through extreme poverty, and you went with that number of persons. How will they take you serious?
Yeah, they know that even if they give you aid, you are going to squander it. That level of indiscipline is the reason we are not able to perform with our budgets every year. You see, now the federal government have a borrow plan now. It's a plan to borrow 26 trillion in the next 3 years, 2023 to 2026, 2024 to 2026. Now, they said that is a plan that have been laid out. We have that plan to borrow, but we don't have any developmental plan to show how we're going to drive the economy and make it. So, you see, the level of profligacy, when things get tighter, that is when our government spend more. From the National Assembly to the supplementary budget to the way resources have been managed over time, it shows you that we're not getting it right. And for this climate, the whole of Europe sent 3,000, right? Okay. The whole of Europe sent 3,000. Could you say how many countries? 3,000 or 300? 300 plus, right? And then we have 1,000 plus one country. So it tells you we're not getting it right. The issues that we are discussing tonight is one that is very painful. It's painful to the extent that if you are going to get aid, foreign aids, and you are going to war investors, and these same investors hear that your budget on the day of presentation, it was nowhere to be found. So you don't know the PR effect of this damage is incalculable. You can't put it in material calculation, because we continue to shoot ourselves on the foot. We are out there. We have gone to Dubai. We have gone to Saudi Arabia. We have gone to different countries to try as much as possible to aggregate and assemble as much as possible those who will help us to fix our economy, and let's have a good time running the economy. But conversely, the things we currently do shows clearly that we are not ready to walk the talk and get things done on our own. So and that's quite very unfortunate.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Evans. I would like us to speak on something else first before we proceed to officially opening the phone lines, and that will be as fast as possible as we can go. And that's concerning, the projection for 2027, as you said, which will bring me to my next question. So there is a crisis within the People's Democratic Party. Already, there are some persons within the PDP who believe that Atiku Abubakar should no longer be considered a candidate to run in 2027. They're trying to look in-house to see how they'll clean up the house and be ready and strategic for 2027. You would also recall that Atiku Abubakar had asked other opposition political parties to come together. Otherwise, 2027 will definitely be a replica of what transpired in 2023. Atiku said already plans, foundations, pillars, buildings have already been instituted in sensitive sectors of the Nigerian polity to ensure that 2027 is given again, or rather comes to the benefit of the ruling All Progressives Congress. We don't know which political candidate will be the one that will fly the flag. So the indications comes or stems from the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party and may not end anytime soon, as Atiku Abubakar is set to relaunch his presidential ambition ahead of the 2027 elections. Now, Atiku, who is a former vice president, had lost to President Tinubu during the just concluded elections on February 25. Now, the petitions against Tinubu's victory, of course, were dismissed by both the Election Tribunal and the Supreme Court. Atiku, he is strongly believed to be warming up already for the 2027 race, is currently plotting to retain his grip on the People's Democratic Party. Also, since Atiku lost his election petition against President Tinubu in the Supreme Court, he has shifted his attention to 2027 presidency. However, Atiku and his loyalists are uncomfortable with the party's acting national chairman, Ambassador Ilia Damagum, who they're accused of being loyal to the FCT minister Nyesom Wike and his G5 faction. Attempts to remove Damagum by Atiku's camp has so far proved to be unsuccessful. So, the former VP and his team recognized that this major setback in the last election was not being able to totally control the PDP structure, and there was a dissent within the party. So, apparently, they're saying that Atiku will be a major obstacle for the PDP to win come 2027. And you recall when Femi Fani-Kayode, he made a statement in regards to the Labour Party where he said that before 2027, the Labour Party will become obsolete. Other critics believe that these are machinations by the All Progressives Congress to ensure that the strong opposition parties are internally destabilized, whereby they will have no strategy, and come 2027, the APC will be back, or rather remain on top in the political structure. So, would you say that the situation in the PDP is rightly called for? I'm going to start with you, Barrister Fred, as briefly as possible so we can open the phone lines. Or do you think that the PDP should be thinking of how to work itself up properly, strategize politically to see how they'll become not just a major contender in 2027, but possibly emerge victorious?
Well, what Nigerians are expecting from PDP as major opposition party, and by extension Labour Party as well, is to present very virile, credible opposition and present alternative opinions and views, and present alternative solutions to actions and policies of the ruling APC. Much as it is said that the best time to start to prepare for election is immediately after, for the next election, is immediately after the immediate past election. But democracy is not all about elections. Democracy is all about good governance to the people. That's all. Election is only a process. It's only is only a medium of achieving such good governance. Even though elections in Nigeria have proved not to be credible at all levels, but at least we do not have any alternative to election. The only alternative to election is dictatorship. So if we are talking about democracy, we will continue to try to fine-tune our electoral process to get it better. But there's an adage in Igbo land that says the man who lives in the creek, he is very good at diving, and he can submerge himself in water for minutes up to hours. If you are quarreling with him on the land and you are unable to take away the knife from his hand on the land, is it when he has dived into the water that you'll be able to get that knife from him? It's an adage. If you relate it to what we are talking about, if you were unable to take power away from Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2023, Is it in 2027 that you're going to take power from him?
So you don't believe it's going to be possible?
No, it's a question.
It's a
I'm
question. Okay.
trying to relate it to that
adage.
To that old adage.
Okay.
That the crocodile inside the river is in its natural habitat. If you're unable to deal with it on the ground, don't hope to deal with it, crocodile, when you are inside the river where it is its natural habitat. And that is why Atiku has, in his own considered opinion, called on all opposition parties to fuse if they know that they want to wrestle power from the ruling party. The only party that you can say is cohesive now is the APC. And they are cohesive not because they are good, but because they hold the knife and the cake. It is easy to settle dissenting voices. What are you going to use to settle dissenting voices in PDP? What are you going to use to settle dissenting voices in Labour Party? And that is why Mr. Apampa or Papa or what do you call Mr. Papa is giving them trouble continuously. Lamidi, always drawing issues with Abure. Always.
And he comes up at a critical time.
It is a typical case of the minstrel dancing on the road. The drummer is by the bush side. All right? And some people are saying that it is the voice of Esau and the body of Esau and the voice of Jacob. Lamidi Papa has some massive drummers beating drum for him, and he's disturbing Labour Party. It is easy to also throw up such people even in PDP as we speak. If they don't fuse, the song of lamentation will not cease from their mouth even in 2027. We know when we talk about the power of incumbency in African politics, if Buhari could be sworn in 2019, that was when I lost hope in wresting power from a sitting president. There was no reason on earth that any Nigerian will cast even one vote for Muhammadu Buhari in 2019. Those who voted for him in 2015, I gave them benefit of the doubt. But anybody who gave Buhari his vote in 2019 disappointed himself and disappointed the rest of the people. But he took over.
He won.
And he won. They say he won. And the court said he won.
They said he won.
And the court said he won. And he ran through and ran Nigeria not just aground, but turned Nigeria to a standing dead horse. And that is what we are seeing today. So, do you think the more you think they will change, the more they remain the same? That is Nigerian politics.
All right, before we open the phone lines, Barrister Evans, here is the situation. Like I asked Barrister Fred Nzako, because there's a barrister here. His name too is Evans. He says he's a legal practitioner, and he says that Nigerians are waiting for 2027 to open the drawer, or rather release the skeleton, as Barrister Fred said, in the cupboard of the CSU certificate. They are waiting to see if the president would want to go again in 2027 and see what he's going to present. If it's going to be something different from what he presented to INEC, then of course the matter will be revisited. Now, do you think that with this debacle, the president has not addressed this? And because of the president, that school is being investigated by the FBI and the CIA. You do know that it's because the president was affirmed by the Supreme Court that the FBI's 2,500 documents that were released, they redacted the president's name because they felt that it would be of a national and political embarrassment to the president if that is released. One of the administrators in the FBI made that statement concerning the president's record, everything that had to do with the president. He said it would be a political and international embarrassment to the president as a person and his political career. So they thought it wise to retract, or rather redact his name from those that were mentioned in that document. The second thing also Nigerians believe is that if the president intends to run again in 2027, no matter what he does, that they want to see if he's going to present another document to INEC. And if it's going to be the same document, they want to see how the opposition will use it to their advantage, or what INEC will do. Others believe that in 2027, the INEC chairman would be somebody that will do the bidding of the president, meaning that the same cycle will repeat itself. Nigerians are questioning. Nobody is saying anything for now because they believe that they have about 2 or 3 years to go where they get to voice out. But do you think, like Barrister Fred said, that if in 2019 he did not expect any Nigerian to vote for Buhari, but then he won, then despite that, they voted for Tinubu. Tinubu won. Who says that he wouldn't win in 2027?
A lot of Nigerians in the election sold their vote, collected gratification, and made a mess of the political system. And the president won. Now, on the issue of Buhari, as to the people who are waiting for him to present that same CSU certificate so that they can attack him, the man seems to have escaped now.
How did he escape?
In 2027, he can decide not to present anything.
He can decide not to present anything?
Yes, the law says you don't need to present anything. Just prove to Anna you can speak and write. That's all. So he has escaped.
That's what the law says.
So
they shock you.
So you think that all this thing they are saying now, you think that he will be that foolish to bring that same certificate that almost cost him his presidency, to bring it again and come and place it before Nigerians for them to start another battle again? You know how much he spent to pull himself out of this by the legal team only. Then the plea and pleadings that they should not do this and all that. They don't the applications they file to restrain this and all that. I see all those things. You cannot go through that quantum of stress, and then you are going back to that to contest. But because this particular petition is for this election. All that he submitted was for this election.
This election.
Yes.
It will not be brought up in 2027.
What he submits in the next election is what they will use to determine whether it's qualified or not. But for this one, he has escaped. So let's now look at when he fills those forms again. What he puts there will not determine whether or not litigation will go that area. Assuming but not conceding that he present the same thing he has presented. I hope those who are saying all this, I hope when you say it's convicted, fraud and all that,
yes,
I hope they are ready to
present.
If you say somebody is convicted, don't make the same mistake again. Bring a charge sheet, front load it, that show that he was arraigned. Bring a record of proceedings to show that he was tried. Bring a judgment inculpating him that he was convicted. If you go that route again without these particulars, you will escape again. Yes, as many times as possible. Because the truth is that the law is about evidence.
They don't care about anybody, what anybody says.
He that assert must prove. We are not going to come to court to decide cases on the basis of public outcry, on the basis of sentiment. Okay? You see all these people crying. The day that they are on the other side, they will demand that the court use evidence. That is why I made a proposal to the Nigerian government that we should use a jury system in our election petition. Since they say election petition is sui generis, let's co-opt the public into the system. Let the public sit with the judges. The public they will all run away from that place because the kind of decision they will be forced to take must be based on evidence. And this society don't want to do anything based on evidence. So at the end of the day, it's just about our sentiment. This person. See, the truth is, politics is a critical game of deception. There's no political expert from academic to the practical field. Harold Laswell, one of the greatest political minds that ever lived in the world, say politics. Do you know how I define politics? He said politics is who get what, when, and how. So politics is not about, you can be played out at any time. And the court will be able to help you or rescue you. The court will not produce evidence for you. manufactured and used against the adverse party. No, it won't work. So those who will contest election in Nigeria in the next election start to think litigation from the first polling unit. As you have your agents who are meant to ensure that everything goes proper, you need to have another set of agents who will ensure. In one of the judgment that was delivered, part of the witnesses that went to court to testify, when the fire of cross-examination hit them, they ran away. It was found out that they were never at the polling unit. Because so they asked them how many people were there. What's the returning officer's name? They don't know. How many coppers were they don't know. How did this all the issues? There's none they could answer, and they are witnesses.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the court have to do what? To erase the evidence.
Every evidence.
So you can't go that way.
So Barrister Evans, let me take you back. There is a strong possibility that all the documents submitted this time around will not be the same thing repeated in 2027 if the president will be the flag bearer for the APC. And if that happens, he can, like you said, all he needs to just, so long as he can read and write, and the least official document is your primary school certificate, right? That is all that is required.
Even without it.
Even without it.
Yes.
Even without it.
Yes, it's in the law.
Recently, Court of Appeal, I think they said there was one legislator that could not read or write.
Right.
Labour Party.
Yes. Then the Court of Appeal, on the basis of that, sacked him.
That's the minimum standard.
That's the minimum.
You can read just to read and write.
And there's a court that actually brought that standard. The Constitution left it at you must have attempted SSE. Not that you get it.
Not you must have at least.
Just show that you attempt or its equivalent.
Or its equivalent.
Now, it is equivalent. No, if you go to the interpretation section, or its equivalent may mean not even having any documents.
Provided you can read and write.
You understand?
So, can you say that Tinubu cannot read and write? So, if he can read and write, he has qualified.
People in the social media are saying, where is secondary school mate? Where is primary school mate? All those things are immaterial. They are not relevant in the context of law.
Of law at all. They are not.
You can use that to brandish and as moral issues and all that. That he should have classmates. But the truth is that they are not legal requirements.
Barrister Evans, and that's a fault of our constitution.
And the express mention of one thing excludes the other. So the fact that the law did not say you must have schoolmates or secondary schoolmates who are still alive or dead, you cannot enforce that against him. You understand? So those who want to, I don't think they are laying any ambush here. This man is smarter than this thing they are preparing.
They're talking about. Wow. So. All right, you can actually call in now. They already saying Esther, open the phone line 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call 0700 903 903 903. The WhatsApp number is 0700 903 9039. That's the WhatsApp number to send your WhatsApp messages to 0700 903 9039 0700 903 903 903. Hello, 903 to the political spotlight. What's your name and location, please?
Good evening, Esther.
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine. Nice to hear your voice. And good evening to the guest.
Please, what's your name and location, please?
Mr. Oscar, calling from Balagi, Lagos.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, yes. Should I start from the last one or from the first one? Though the last one really drew my attention. Okay. That if somebody can read that right, that is a criteria for somebody to contest the presidency.
Yes, so long as you can read and write.
Yes, it looks so easy, and that even somebody who is a non-entity can even contest based on the political party. Yes. That will bring it forward. What I'm saying is that PDP should put their heart together and continue to lay solid foundation. The way I'm seeing that party is like it's becoming a dilapidated and a moribund political party. Yes. That they should come together. I don't know, are they afraid to finance the PDP well, or the people are not cooperating? That is the only area I'm seeing the PDP dying slowly. Therefore, the traffic of the Dubai of the stuff, I think there is the advantage. They got the opportunity and the advantage and the privilege is in their hands. So whatever they want to do, that is the same way the former president travel all over the world, like Ajala travel all over the world. We do not see the exposure and the experience and whatever to give. Let it come back and engage the youth into labor market. That energy is like those ones they carry along. They are just before they arrive in Nigeria. You will see something will obliterate those experience off their head. They become a zombie. Let me come back and the Nigeria youth into labor market. Nigeria will be a good country for all of us to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Name and location, please.
Good morning, I will say. I'm calling from Australia.
All right.
Remy is my name.
Okay, this is evening though here. Go ahead. What's your name? What did you say your name is?
Okay. Say that again?
Your name. I didn't get your name.
Oh, sorry, I'm Remy.
Okay, Remy, go ahead, please.
Remy. Okay, now, you see, if you have read stories about criminal gang before, what they often target is state capture.
Okay.
Escobar in Latin America, he was a politician. He even made it to the member of National Assembly, and he sponsored a lot of political parties to capture the states. So when you perfect the art of state capture, it is over. And I think the art of state capture have been perfected in Nigeria, and I don't see anybody stopping Tinubu in 2027. We are at that point now. However, that is not to say that political party should relinquish their responsibility and walk away, because that would be a strong argument for them that after all they didn't participate. It's not as if we stopped them. So what Nigeria must remember now, that PDP is part of what you are experiencing right now, because their own internal issue, which was based on greed, actually led them to collude with this guy. Nevertheless, what every Nigerian must remember is that we have a country that we want to call our home. And there's nothing you lay your hands upon with a stolen mandate that will prosper. Have a good day.
All right, thank you, Remy, for that. That is quite apt. All right, 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. Hello.
Hello.
Kindly turn down the audio of your radio. When you call, turn down the audio of your radio completely. Hello.
Good evening.
Well done. What's your name and location, please?
My name is Mr. Amadi, calling from Ejibu.
All right, Mr. Amadi, go ahead.
I don't see the reason why we should disturb this man called Tinubu, Mr. President. Because from onset, he did not tell us what he's going to do for this country. By the time they are calling him to come and tell us what to do for this country, he refused. Everything from the beginning to the end in him was nothing to write about. I've stopped disturbing myself because I knew that he's not going to do anything for us from the beginning. So all this discussion, do you know that he has prepared for 2027 from the way that he's putting the INEC resident officials now and every other thing that he's making? He has never started, and he has started planning 2027. But I know one thing, that God is in heaven watching the whole thing. The will of God must happen for this country. That is my intake. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Amadi. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. The WhatsApp number is 0700 903 9039. Hello.
Good evening, Madam Esther.
Good evening. Name and location, please.
This is Nemeka from Igbo, please.
Nemeka, go ahead.
I sent you a message already, but I guess they are saying something. That's why I called. But I called on. I said, make a call in.
All right, go ahead.
My greeting to two of them.
Barrister Evans and Barrister Fred. Okay.
I greet everybody.
Right.
But I want to let them know that no matter how something is strong, something is strong past time. No matter how a person will be a strong person, there will be somebody that's stronger than him. So 2027, we are not talking about anything. But all I'm telling them today, both to APC, both to APC, both government, the incumbent, that the opposition they have today is those that used to buy fuel 200 naira. Now they are buying it 650. Those that used to buy a cup of rice 200 naira, now they are buying it 800 or 900. Those women who used to buy fish at the market 15,000, now they are buying it at something thousand. All of us will be opposition. No be Atiku, no be Peter Obi, no be Kwankwaso.
All right.
Those that is facing insecurity at northern Nigeria, they are the main opposition. Those that is suffering in Nigeria, facing hardship, they are the main opposition this time around. They should mark it on the wall. That the kind of opposition they will face this time around is not Atiku, it's not to be Gadakan Kwasu.
It's everybody.
It's Nigeria, suffering Nigerians will be the opposition. That is what I want to drop. And in terms of traveling, you can travel anywhere. But mind you that if you do not do your house well, nobody will come and visit you. If your house is full of everything, that whoever cannot come out again, nobody will come there. For your information. Right. So to run around the world does not mean anything. You can run around the world, but make sure whatever you are looking is in your country. Come home so that you can make use of what God give you.
Right.
He give you mineral resources. He give you human resource.
Okay,
come and make use of.
Thank you, Nemeka. Thank you. Let's take other calls. All right, thank you. All right, 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. Let me take some messages. Good evening, Esther and your guest. This barrister friend is defending this government. This is how they keep on defending former President Muhammadu Buhari, and he totally messed up the whole 8 years, not 8 months or 8 week, Esther. And we have continued in this present administration. How long will we continue suffering and smiling in Nigeria? My name is Kelechi from Oshodi. Kelechi, did you listen to Barrister Fred?
I'm sure he didn't listen.
You didn't listen to Barrister Fred very well.
He cannot say I'm defending the government.
You didn't hear what he said?
At the end of the day, you see, we are, Evans mentioned it in passing. We are our own problems. The last caller said the suffering masses are the opposition. Upe. When the time comes. When the time comes. When the time comes.
He said Upe. Because when the time
just
comes.
Collect 2,000, 3,000
yes.
And go and vote.
Yes. That's what they do.
I have been.
After they will now say all eyes on judiciary.
Look, I have been involved in election at all levels in this country. And I can tell you, until we have knowledgeable electorate, knowledgeable, not just educated, but knowledgeable people who know their left from their right, people who can say no
and stay with no
to petty inducements and stay with that no. Until we have such people, it is a merry-go-round, vicious cycle, terrible vicious cycle. Those you call the opposition, when the time comes, they will collect as little as 2,000 naira and go and vote. That same wrong person that they know should not even near their town hall meeting. They will go and vote them, and they only come back. They will just tell you, make I collect the one I see. When they enter power, they go remember us. Until they stop that saying, Nigeria will continue to nosedive, and that is why politicians have very little feeling for the people. Honestly, very little. They think about themselves and the election. Oh, you think they are worried about the economy? No, hell no. They are now ganging up, thinking about 2027. They are beginning to scheme. People are moving from one party to another
in preparation for
2027, and then some of them will have an off-cycle election along the line. That is what they are looking at. They are not looking at you crying. That is the least of their worries.
Wow. Let's take this call. Hello. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. Name and location, please.
Hello, my name is Benjamin from Ejigbo.
All right, Benjamin.
From Ejigbo. Yeah, the good news of our situation in Nigeria is that everybody is involved.
Okay.
Whether you vote for Bola Tinubu or you did not, we are all in together. And we won't stop talking and we won't stop crying.
All right.
Because I know one day in Nigeria, our cry will be heard.
All right.
So that is just my contribution this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I have more messages. Good evening, Madam Host. My name is Nemeka from Ejigbo. Please, those information have... Okay. Nemeka just called. He was the one who just spoke now. If to be a Nigerian president is just to know how to read and write, then that law is demonic and Babylonian law. It should be expunged as soon as possible, or Nigeria is gone forever. Father Law, that's the name. Okay. Good evening, Esther Wachkwan, our guest in the studio. I'm very worried about this government and the way they choose to run it. This current administration told us to fasten our seatbelt while they're losing theirs. They have been running the government in the last 7 months as if all is well in Nigeria. They have failed to realize that millions of Nigerians are living in abject poverty. Nigerians deserve a better leader who will listen and care. Emmanuel Chijoke from Ikotu. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And we have, good evening. No one should expect the current administration to do any magic. Tinubu practically didn't talk to Nigerians about his plans. What are we expecting? We are all in this shaggy together. All right, the problem of Nigeria is in the constitution. How can the constitution allow people who are not educated to be the president of the country? That is why Nigeria has never worked since 1999. Look at the way they have been turning Nigeria upside down since 1999. And that's Chamere from Agbara. Okay. Good evening, Esther. I'm telling you the truth. Come 2027, Tinubu will not only win alone, he will even change the constitution and go for third term, and nothing will happen. I energetically agree with all your guests. Usman from Ushudi. Wow. My name is Joed from Ikeja. I want to say that the main issue we have in Nigeria is tribe and religion. Okay, 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. Hello. Well, can you turn down the volume of your radio, please? When you call, it's not about hearing yourself. Turn down the audio of your radio, please. Hello. Yeah, good evening. Yeah, good evening. Name and location, please.
My name is Mr. Ernest Amali. I'm calling from the.
All right, Mr. Ernest.
Please, I don't have much to say based on what you have been discussing. I thank the panelists are there for answering that, not for saying okay. Because I will really tell you the truth. In this country, we individuals are part of the problem. Because when the election comes, because I say around, I say in the corridors of all these things, what's my life. When it comes now, when they build a bag of money given to all of them, say the question will be, I don't didn't you need any money? We say any money. When they do it, you place them out and one person. Then if the wrong person, if the money finishes in your pocket, it will be around that.
This line is very poor, like very, very poor. I can barely make out what you're saying. Kindly call back 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. Hello. Okay, we can hear anything. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. And 0700 903 9039. That is the WhatsApp number to send your messages. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. Turn down the audio of your radio. I always tell you, turn down the audio of your radio completely.
Good evening.
Welcome to the Political Spotlight.
My name is Nena.
Nena, location, please.
Location, Ijebu.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, I want to contribute to the topic you have now.
All right, go ahead.
See, the problem we have in this Nigeria is not only the masses, it's our judiciary and the INEC.
Okay.
Because if all of us vote our choices and we want to make the right choice, INEC and judiciary will not do the right thing. Because example is what happened in this last election that we had. Everybody, you cannot tell me that Tinubu won the election, but we saw otherwise. So that is my contribution, that the suffering we are suffering now is as a result of INEC and judiciary. The masses might decide to vote the right thing, the right person, but INEC and the judiciary will not allow it. If they do not bring an INEC man that want to help Nigeria, we are going nowhere. If people cast their votes, it will go down the drain. That is my contribution, and I am telling both the INEC and the judiciary that they have people around them, that they are not giving their money, that we are suffering, all of us are suffering and buying from the same market, like people said. That is my contribution this night.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. Hello. Welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Hello,
Name and location.
good evening.
How are you?
Good evening.
Evening.
This is Kyle coming from Maryland.
Okay, from Maryland, right?
Yeah. Mainland.
Okay, mainland. Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes. I greet your two guests. In fact, they have really analyzed what I want this evening. In fact, I'm so impressed. You see, the issue we are facing in this country is like the other last caller said, the woman from Ijeoma or whatever. Our problem is from INEC and judiciary, truly. But the constitution we are using in this country is a military constitution. They made it for these political gladiators that are ruling us. They are not leading us, they are rulers. And that is why Nigerians are suffering today, my sister. So it's only God that can help us that will deliver this country. Thank you.
All right, thank you. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. Hello? Hello? Yes, hello. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. Name and location, please.
Okoli from Bakada.
Okoli.
Now, with all that the lawyers have said, if at least there's no hope for the Nigerian electorate, and the National Assembly, where do they derive their rights from? Must people just keep quiet like this? Or can something be done, even if start recalling members of the National Assembly if they don't know the right thing to be done? Our laws cannot be changed just to suit very few out of over 200 million people. So I want the lawyers to tell us what's way out of this situation. Thank you.
All right, Barrister Evans, as quick as possible.
Well, the way out is very simple. There must be a change of attitude the masses. I listened to the woman who called before the last caller, who said that the judiciary and the ANEC is a problem, and I disagree. I disagree because during election, the public, they collude with the politicians, wrought all kind of malpractice, okay, and then the next thing, they sell their votes, they do all kinds of things, help politicians snatch ballot boxes, follow them to disenfranchise people. In Lagos State here, some persons were asked the tribe they came from. Immediately they mentioned that they asked them to go home. The people, is it the politician that did that? The people colluded with the politician to wrought that kind of incalculable damage on the electoral system. Okay. Then the next day they turn around and say, all eyes on the judiciary. Which judiciary? To do what exactly? What would the judiciary do? What you convoluted, you disrupted the waters, made it undrinkable. Then you turn around and say the judiciary should drink it. It won't work. Okay, so we have to get it right from your doorstep to the first polling unit in your area. That is where you can correct this problem. Because if you correct it there, the politician will have no need to go to court. It's because they are all there juggling with the citizens to do malpractice, and at the end of the day, somebody gets aggrieved who have seen what has transpired. He gets to the court. The court is independent, and then the court will use what is before it to do what it wants to do.
Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Name and location, please.
Hello, good evening. It is me, Mr. Alozie from Ezigbo. Madam, please, what I was saying that time is Tinubu, this particular government will not offer anything to Nigerians. And we should go ahead and read minutes into when they were asking him. He opened his mouth vividly and said that this is his own turn. We should look into that. And secondly, there was a time they asked him, he said, I want to be a president. Tinubu just want to be a president, nothing more, nothing less. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let me quickly read some messages. Tracy Jacobin says, Nigerians are so gullible, still waiting for God, the God that can't even save Jesus Christ, his only son. Tracy, calm down. Kenya Ezeke, good evening, Esther and guest. Nice discussion. Barrister Fred, you know our people now. We sell our vote for a cup of gari. Victor Braukubo says, voting would no longer help us in Nigeria. We can't vote ourselves out of this mess. Victor Braukubo says, we are too docile in Nigeria. Evans says, Barrister Evans Ufeli, how many police officers who facilitated election rigging have been prosecuted, even when they were caught on camera? All right. Good evening. In other societies, the citizens all rise up to correct all this type of bad constitution. But in Nigeria, so-called learned lawyers defend it and make it look as if it's normal, and we all suffer it together. Why is it that our constitutional lawyers will not call for the change of our laws? Please, MJ from Ali Mosho. All right. Thank you, MJ. Good evening, VOP. This is Perpetual from Isheri Dimo. Tinubu running around the whole world will not solve the problem of Nigerians. He is deceiving himself, not us. Tinubu is enjoying himself. He has achieved his highest aspiration in life as the president of Nigeria. Tinubu cares nothing about the economy or wailing Nigerians. He came to rule and he's ruling. You people should expect the worst from him. Ugo from Ali Mosho. And the same Ugo says, those who are complaining about Tinubu's government are not serious. A strategist who strategically moved fuel from 185 naira to over 500 naira per litre. Well, all the presidential candidates said they were going to remove fuel subsidies. So, yet Nigerians welcomed it with their full chest and are now crying in their homes like little babies. The man said during his campaign that he will reduce the purchasing power of the people and widen the tax nets. He has achieved what Buhari couldn't achieve for 8 years. Nigerians are no longer suffering and smiling, but are now suffering and groaning. Jagaban is a strategist indeed. Barrister Evans Sufil, okay, I've read this one on YouTube. Good evening. Please, I'm bringing to your notice that the Nigerian government has been captured by criminals. Who are the criminals? Please, when you make such statements, do not generalize. Have your facts, have it wherever it is you're coming from. Please have that evidence. It's quite important because this is a national broadcast. You have to be careful. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Thank you. I just want to make a little contribution. My name is Ben.
All right, Ben.
And I'm calling from Ketu.
All right.
You see, it's not good to oppose when somebody says the truth. Whether you, the analyzer, or whoever you be, when you say the truth, accept the truth.
Okay,
the problem we have in this election, please, this particular election that is we are on it, because we are still on it, it has not come and passed. Is INEC, Mahmoud. If it's a human being, he knows, they say it's Mahmoud. And the judges of Nigeria, you see, they are the problem we have. And the judges, they think they have finished, they are free. It is time for God to judge them, and they will be judged. Let them go and begin to jubilate and begin to think that they are free. Like, God is the spring, He will judge them. And everybody will see it when it happens. So the problem we have, if anybody don't know, that is true. Because they choose who they like. We have, don't make our votes. Like Obama can just say that after Nigerians have made their choice, just 3 people or 3 persons in just a round table, they don't upside down the choice of Nigeria. Who say it's not judges? God will judge them and we will.
All right, thank you for your call. That was quite passionate. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Kindly turn down the audio of your device or your radio, whatever it is you're listening to the program from.
Okay.
Yes.
I am Mr. speaking from Mafluku.
All right, please go ahead. You have a minute.
I know that the barrister there is just defending the judiciary. Everybody has a right to defend him or herself. I had a friend whom his son is a lawyer. Whenever I go there and ask him about his son lawyer, he said liar and not lawyer. That's what the man used to tell me. And with this present situation, I found out what the man was telling me was true. And I don't think having an election in Nigeria is just a mess up. What we will do is just to tell the Supreme Court, give us somebody to rule us, simply. Instead of wasting Nigerians' money, saying that we are doing an election, we are doing that, we are doing that. After doing everything, why must this guy say that there was no evidence? Where everything, a lot of people captured all these things.
Wait. You said who was the guy that said there was no evidence? Who is the guy?
one of the lawyers, he said that the court judged with the evidence. What type of evidence did they want? Again,
you didn't say. Okay, all right. Thank you for that message. Thank you so much. I sincerely do appreciate it.
And the judiciary just give us somebody to rule, and not election again.
All right, thank you. I don't think I'll take any more calls. Barrister Evans Ufeli, in a minute, please. Can you give us your final take?
To the Nigerian, what they call evidence is what is on the street, not what is in the court. In Peter Obi's case, I'll recount the people, the public, they formulated their own issues for determination, different from what Peter Obi was even asking for. The people on the street said they want to reclaim their mandate. Peter Obi didn't say that. He said cancel the election. The lawyers filed based on the brief. Now, those people on the street now want the outcome of the court to be based on what their own issues of determination and not the issues of determination before the court. It won't work like that. And I know that there's no amount of law you explain to a Nigerian who is out there that will get it, because it takes a long time to go through what it is to get to understand the law. So I don't think radio is the appropriate place to teach people law, to let them understand that the court will only act based on the evidence before it and not on the sentiments of the people around.
Barrister Fred Nzako, final take place.
You know the funny thing about our people, Nigerians, when they take their patient to hospital and the patient dies, they will blame the doctor. Have you not seen it happen in a number of times? They will just simply blame the doctor. Nigerians are very fond of shifting blames. It can be anybody except me. The fault is anybody's fault except mine. And that is why even the little they will do as citizens, they will say, God will do this, God will do that. The same people that you are asking God to come and judge, God has judged already and given them power. And they are ruling, they are enjoying. The little one you have, which is to vote them out, when the time comes, you will not vote them out. You collect money, you compromise, and turn around and say God will punish them, God will judge them. God does not work like that.
That is the problem.
God does not work like that. The same way God does not work with the sentiments on the street. The court does not work with the sentiment on the street.
Thank you so much, Barrister Fred Nzako, for all of that. Nigeria is going low, lowest in every facet of human endeavor. The current set of our political leaders are inept. They are intemperate, impervious, and predictably purblind to the modern realities of how people should be governed. They are more corrupt than the devil. After pursue Nawi, Nigerians are seeing Nawi, according to Fela Ugo from Alimosho. Thank you so much, Ugo. That's all we can take this evening on the Political Spotlight. My name is Esther Nwachukwu. You've been listening to my intelligent analysts with their expertise from the profession. They are legal practitioners, Barrister Evans Ufeli and Barrister Fred Nzako. You can follow us on social media at VOP 90.3 FM, as well as Estic Media on YouTube. That's ESTIQMEDIA on YouTube. So you're subscribing there for all the contents as well. Esther Nwaz on Instagram. That's ESTANWAZ. Esther Nwachukwu on Facebook. Barrister Fred Nzako social media handles. Fred Nzako across all platforms.
At Fred Nzako on X.
On X.
Fred Nzako on YouTube. Fred Nzako on Facebook.
Facebook. What about you, Barrister Evans?
Yes, at Evans Ufeli across all
platforms. All right. Have yourself an amazing evening. Bye for now.